pervert. Let's get over and talk to her. And tour group.
Well, hi. You must be Madeline Boutin.
Perhaps. Who are you?
Gabriel Knight. You know Mosley from your tour? We go way back.
I should have recognized the accent.
What accent?
Never mind. So, you know Monsieur Mosley?
Oh, yeah. And I was wondering how much you charge me to, hang with the group, given that I'm paying for my own hotel and all.
2,000 francs.
Kind of steep, isn't it?
This is the price of success. Do you wish to find the treasure or not?
I'll think about it.
So now we're going to go to check-in comment.
When did y'all get in?
Last night?
Late?
No. Why do you ask?
Just curious how long it took. You drove it?
Yes. From Toulouse. It's about 2 hours.
Check-in again.
Who all came in the van?
Most of the group flew into Toulouse. John Wilkes, Lady Hired, Miss Stiles, and your friend, mostly. Messieurs Kelly and Baza made their own arrangements.
Red hair and green eyes. Now, who's that remind you of there, Pikachu?
Damn it.
I'll give you a hint. Star Wars.
Shoot. Leia, maybe? No. I'm not.
Expanded universe.
Shoot. I don't know.
That's okay. Mara Jade.
Oh.
Alright, so we're going to ask about the tour group.
So, what's this tour group do, anyway?
I guide my clients through the paths of the mystery and show them the important locations. From there, they can draw their own conclusions.
Well, how come you're not guiding them right now?
There is a lot to absorb in the town itself, Monsieur Knight. Tomorrow morning at 9 AM is the first guided lecture.
Oh, well, I'll still think about it.
And then the treasure question.
So, you're the expert, right? What's your theory of the treasure and the chateau?
I leave that to my clients. It is better than me.
Alright, so that's it talking with Boutin there.
So how much is that 2,000 francs in American?
How much is 2,000 francs in American? Let me think here. Let me think here. I think today it's like about $10 to $15 more in American, so I want to guess about 2010 to 2015 bucks. Yeah. Yep. Kind of crazy, huh? Yeah, I knew there was. I mean, I know that British pounds are about $1.50. No, $2.50 higher. Francs, I think, are just about like, or I think the U.S. dollars are about 10 to 15 higher, somewhere around there. If anybody wants to leave a comment about it, go for it. But this is 1999, so it could have been a lesser rate. I just know the conversion rate today is about 10 to 15 higher, roughly. So, all right. So let's see here. Let's go over. Oh yeah, she's smoking her cigarette there. So let's go over to the sign here and look at it.
Museum and church. This place is just jam-packed with culture, isn't it?
So let's go to the window here.
Looks like a private home.
Let's go through the window.
Right. I'm sure they wouldn't mind.
Don't know until you try.
Breaking and entering is totally fun.
Well, kind of ironic you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Alright, here's the door.
That looks like a private home.
Let's knock on it.
I could check every house in the area, but they probably get a little pissed.
Just a little.
A little bit. Alright, so here's the fountain.
If I look at it for too long, I'll have to go back up to the room.
So shiny and sparkly.
And urinating inducing, apparently.
Yes, apparently.
So let's leave town.
That's the way out of town. I wouldn't get far on foot.
You get lost too.
Around the corner, if they kind of do it the way the real town is, it's kind of a swirling kind of switchback type of road, and then it leads you up the hill to the town, and it's kind of like a kind of a mini fortress. This isn't exactly what the town really looks like, but for game purposes, excuse me, it suits its purpose. So let's go over to the bookstore.
Wasn't that what the two men on the train said? Why would they be talking about the Holy Grail? And what does the Grail have to do with the grandeur chateau?
Alright, so that gets us up to 30 points here. Try to go into the closed bookstore.
They're closed.
Look at the sign.
I think it's a bookstore.
Now here's a cool little Easter egg here. Looking at these two books.
Gee, that book looks interesting. Too bad the stall's closed.
So this picture is Jane Austen, and this is basically her with the Gabriel Knight article. And then here's the two books here, and they're basically Gabriel Knight books that she wrote.
That's so cool.
Or Jane Jensen, not Austen. I'm thinking Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. Ugh.
Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and go around here. Bane of my existence in high school. What year was it? Junior year, yeah. Oh my god.
They made me watch the movie. I couldn't stand the movie.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I was really lucky. I got an A- on that book report, or book essay, not report. I'm thinking too young there, but that book essay I wrote on it, I got a 90 on it. I was so lucky. Every time I tried to read that book, I'd read like 2 pages and then I'd like throw it against the wall, try to read again, throw it against the wall, go watch Arizona basketball, then come back, throw it against the wall, and I bought the Monarch notes. I mean, I still read the book, but I bought the Monarch notes so that way I could come up and formulate a little bit of better ideas, and then I threw in my own 2 cents, and yeah, I'll tell you, Monarch notes were a lifesaver. Not to say I hate the classics, don't get me wrong. It's just, some books like Huck Finn and, To Kill a Mockingbird, those are good, and Great Gatsby was okay and things like that. But I'm not really, I love to read, but I'm not really one for like quote-unquote great American classics. Count of Monte Cristo is my favorite book there. That's a great read, 800 plus pages there, but totally worth it. How about you? What would you say your favorite book is?
I like a lot of
Well, that's a real typical girl answer there.
Hey.
What kind of music do you like? I like all sorts of music. Well, it's not like Sis and I are trying to date or anything, but
like rock and video game music.
Yeah, I'm just teasing,
I read all the time, so there's a lot of books.
Yeah, she's got a Braille reader, so she reads off of it. You want to talk about that a bit?
It's basically a Braille computer. You can put a whole bunch of different types of files on it. There's
type of files.
There's a radio. There you can play music. You can do recordings. Of course, there's no picture, but yeah, there's a internet and a bunch of other. You can even play games on there. A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, text-based games. It's an amazing thing. It is a really amazing thing. Just don't hold it close to a cable outlet. It actually interferes with the signal. I missed the PAC before it became the PAC 12. It was the PAC 10, and I missed the PAC 10 championship. And I was like, drat. And this was before Watch ESPN and all that stuff. And I was like, damnation. But I wouldn't. I may get mad, but I don't do anything beyond that.
But if it has to do with bikes, I'm there.
So the moped courtyard's closed. We're going to go back in there later. I mean, we could go in now if we wanted to, but we can still get the same comments when we go back. So, or actually, you know what? Let's go in real quick, because at least on the door, you'll get a really funny thing. We'll look at that baby later, but here we go here. So I'm going to knock on the door.
Hey, anybody in there? Guess not.
Gabe is desperate.
Yep.
So here's some smart thinking here. I'm going to get the sketch or notebook, and let's go ahead and write down the license plate. But
I'm not sure who's driving that one.
so, eventually that's what you'll do. Oh yeah, here's our favorite bike here.
What a pathetic excuse for a bag.
So to do that, we'll come back and we'll look at everything else, but I just wanted to kind of give a little sample there. That'll be in the third block of day one. So we'll also, in the second block, we'll go over to this area. We'll go to Tor Magdala over there, and then Villa Bethania here. But for now, we're going to go around the corner and head to the Musée Saunière. So I'll have a little thing to say at the end of the block about Saunière. So
They're open all day.
looking at the sign.
And our favorite people are in here.
Oh yeah.
All three of them.
Ask me to pronounce that.
All right.
But why not?
It's Le Musée de Saunière. All right, we're inside the museum. The track for this is just one of my favorites. So let's look at the sign.
Lost items. Wonder if my life is in there.
Looking at the box for the lost and
It
found.
looks like a lost and found box.
Little wooden crate. There's a hat in there.
Somebody lost a hat.
Let's try taking it.
It's not really my style. Looks more like something mostly for you.
Foreshadowing. All right, let's look at the postcards. So the postcards are about 10 francs, so that's roughly equal to a little over $10. That's pretty crazy. But the currency exchange rate system works a little differently over here. It's kind of like when you have like a Italian lira, for example, 75,000 lira. It's a lot different and things like that. But in this case, there's like not too much of a difference. But this kind of currency is easier to acquire. So let's look at the postcards.
Pictures of the town and stuff. I'm not sure what those paintings have to do with this area. Nothing really matters, I guess.
More foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Hey, they actually have souvenirs for sale. I'm sure Gracie will be all over it if and when she gets here.
So they don't let you take any of the postcards, sadly. But let's get our wallet and see if what happens when we do this.
I'm not really one for writing letters. Besides, it's a kind of a tourist thing about postcards.
So?
Let's look out the window here.
The architects weren't too crazy about black, were they?
Just like you!
Yeah, well said. So here's old hag in glasses.
I'm assuming she works here.
Very perceptive, senor. Ninth gate.
Yep.
Alright, so let's talk with her. Let's meet.
Ah, how are you? You run this place?
Yes,
Nice to meet you. The name is Knight.
very well.
And you are?
Madame Girard, is there something I can help you with?
Is that right?
Yeah, when I visited this museum, let's just say that the staff was a lot more nicer than this lady, and you'll see what's happening.
Thankfully.
So in this one, we're not going to go left to right. We're going to actually do baby, then the two kidnappers, then get into this stuff here. So let's start with the baby.
Have you heard a baby cry in the past 24 hours?
I have 3 grandchildren. What do you think?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Say, were you around last night?
I was at home, sir.
Oh, you didn't happen to see anyone coming into town, did you, late? Around 11?
I am well asleep by then. The early bird catches the worm, you know.
Yeah.
Look at that grin.
Incentive day.
She's all like grinning at him like she's gonna eat Gabe's face or something. Okay, all right. Yeah, there's number 3 out of 965. All right, here's the Holy Grail here.
Say, does the Holy Grail have something to do with this area? And what would the connection be exactly?
Some believe the Templars found sacred Christian treasure in the Holy Land. When they were persecuted, they would have hidden it in a spot. It really is not that difficult to make, monsieur.
Sacred Christian treasure? Like the Holy Grail?
Possibly. The most famous Grail story, written by Wolfenbach, was set in Languedoc. Did you know that, monsieur?
Oh.
I know. Of course you did not.
Ouch.
All right, so we're gonna go ask about Rennes-le-Chateau.
Is there anything special I should know about the town?
The displays will tell you the history of Rennes-le-Chateau.
There's the Templar option.
You mentioned Templars, as in the Knights Templars. Were they really from this?
If you wish to know about the Templars, read the history book.
You are so unhelpful.
There's the treasure.
There's supposed to be some kind of treasure buried around here, right?
Yes, that is the theory.
Well, what kind of treasure is it?
That is part of the mystery, monsieur.
Here's another treasure question.
Okay. So what are some of the possible treasures?
Gold stores of the Romans. The fabulous wealth of the Visigoths, which was never found. The fabulous wealth of the Merovingians, which was never found. Or it could be the fabulous wealth of the Cathars, which...
Yeah, I gotcha. The Templars too, right?
But of course, they had more fabulous wealth than anyone. Why do you think that French pig dog of a king turned on them?
Aren't you French in this region?
Well, France thinks.
Actually, judging by her skin tone, I'd say she's probably a Dark Shadow zombie. Just the lighting and everything. Her skin, it just seems so off. All right, here we go. Treasure again.
Any other theories on the possible treasure?
Well, the Romans did destroy the Temple of Jerusalem, stole sacred Hebrew artifacts. Perhaps it is the lost treasure of Jerusalem that is buried around here. And then there is this one theory.
Yes?
Never mind. I am a good Catholic woman myself. Why don't you read up on the subject if you are so very interested?
Yeah, my experience.
Okay, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah, another foreshadowing there, but yeah, when I came to this museum, they were a lot nicer to me. It doesn't look like this, so we're going to go up to the panel room now. It doesn't look like this. It actually has like separate rooms that have like dummies in them and things like that, kind of like setups for what life was like back then in the late 1800s, early 1900s and things like that. Now, the Rennes Enigma is real, so basically Jane Jensen did base this on actual facts, but or not facts, but more so actual conspiracy theory, and she added her own little twist to it and everything. So, but I'll when we're done with this block, I'll tell you the real way of how Saunier conjured his wealth, and we'll learn about that here. Now, before we read the history panel, we're going to basically take a look at Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. I never liked that story. Can you imagine there being only one woman on the entire planet?
And what if she makes you crazy?
Now we're going to look at this harp.
I'm not sure I'd want that thing between my legs. Looks dangerous.
Now we're going to go eavesdrop on these two dames here. Our favorite characters.
Yeah.
Look at this. It's the sacred number of Ra.
You're right, Lily. And look, it says Virgo, Isis,
And Trinus et Eunice.
3 or 1, isn't it? Or am I conjugating badly?
Oh, I'm afraid I never had that.
Well, I think I'm right. Do you suppose they're referring to Nut, Horus, and Osiris?
They could be referring to God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. Couldn't they?
Don't be stupid. Anyway, Dr. Wen says it's all the same thing. Or was that Mary, God, and Jesus?
Look at that shape. Wasn't there something like that in Dr. Wen's sacred geometry?
Shh! Do you want to give everything away?
Oh, sorry.
Alright, so let's look at them.
There's a couple of beauteous dames. Alright, so I'm feeling generous.
Let's look at this blonde guy in the quote-unquote dress.
Hey, he kind of looks like me. Except for the dress part.
When if you bring Grace back to the museum, she's got a nice comment about that too. Alright, so it's time to talk to them.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Here we go.
Good morning, ladies.
Look, Estelle, the gentleman has come over to introduce himself. Isn't that charming?
Well, I try. The name's Knight.
Yes. How do you do, Mr. Knight? I'm Estelle Stiles, and this is Lady Gabriel.
Renowned on stage and screen. Now you're thinking, how modest, how petite, and of course, I am.
Oh, the most modest.
Yeah. So it looks like Styles isn't a dude.
Nope.
So yeah. Yeah, and if you're thinking, yeah, you're correct. Lesbians. Yay.
Yeah, well, Styles actually isn't as bad.
Well, not that there's anything wrong with that or anything.
No,
but,
it's just the other one I don't like.
Right. And you'll see shortly what Pikachu's talking about here. Wow. All right. I didn't say your middle name again. Victory. All right. So we're going to talk about the Grail first.
You wouldn't by any chance be here looking for the Holy Grail?
Ah, but we all seek the Holy Grail.
You mean everyone on the tour?
No, little man. All mankind. The correct question is not, do you seek the Grail, but do you know what the Grail is?
Well, what is it?
All right. So
People
now we're
kind.
yeah, people kind. Yeah,
Yeah.
not mankind's people kind. Hadn't Justin Trudeau taught you anything? Oh wait, this is 1999.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Wonder if they're rolling in over in their great. Well, no, they're probably not dead, but wonder if you know how they're taken to it. Yeah, we're so progressive. Yeah, suck it.
Yeah.
All right, tour group.
Are you with the tour group?
He's a sly one, Estelle.
Yes, Mr. Knight. We are.
What about you, dear boy? I thought we'd met everyone this morning.
Oh, I'm a friend of Mosley's.
Oh, well.
Oh. So I asked about the treasure.
Are you all here looking for the treasure?
So they look at each other.
Well, we can hardly deny it since we're on the tour.
But it's not as though we have a theory, Mr. Knight.
Estelle, you're so subtle.
Oh, yeah, you got a theory? Well, let me hear it.
Is that a note of ridicule I hear?
No.
Can it be?
No, I didn't.
Do you think perhaps that only men can have valid theories?
Hardly. It's just the whole idea of a...
Lily, are we to take it that you yourself have no theory, sir?
About the treasure? No, I don't.
Methinks he doth protest too much.
It's possible.
So yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Gabe didn't do anything, and you have to be this rude? Why?
Yeah, I can't stand women like that, you
I
know.
know.
I mean, it's like, you have to understand there's certain things that men can do better than women and vice versa. You know, men are stronger than women. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
yeah,
how it
right.
works.
I mean, that's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
But, you know, but then, you know, I mean, some women can be more intelligent than men and vice versa and everything like that. But, of course, if you're caught saying anything that men are better about women, you know, today it's like, oh my God, I'm literally shaking.
Oh, I know. Women are better at, like, cross-country running and flexibility and stuff like that, so.
Yep. Depends on how you train your body either way, but yeah, it all depends on your height, your body size, things like that. So, you know, but you're right, there's usually a higher statistical percentage of that, so there you go. Well, here we go. I love this comment here.
I think I've had enough of Lady Howard for the moment.
I think we all have too, so
for a lifetime.
good call. Good call. All right, so it's history time. Okay, so first panel, and this is or I'll let Gabe explain it.
These panels tell the history of the Rennes-le-Chateau area.
Okay. The Celts. The earliest recorded inhabitants of the Languedoc were Celtic. Some stone monuments in the area were thought to be French versions of Stonehenge. Very little is known about this period. A little foreshadowing there. The Romans. The Romans called this area Gaul. They had many rich silver and gold mines here sustained by slave labor. Gaul was a favorite spot for exiling people. Pontius Pilate and Herod Antipas were both exiled here by Rome, which is true. The Visigoths. Now let's get Styles back out of the way. There we go. The Visigoths conquered Rome, raiding the city of Rome itself in 410. They ended their nomadic existence by settling in this area with their vast stores of plundered wealth. Nearby Toulouse was their capital. So it is true they were the barbarians that ended the Roman Empire, unfortunately. The Merovingian dynasty, which is from 461 to 962 AD, was a line of mystical priest kings with long hair that ruled the German Franks. Clovis I in 507 defeated Alaric II of the Visigoths in battle. Clovis I made a pact with the Roman Pope to consolidate the position of each. So now we go over. In 671, Merovingian King Dagobert II married Giselle de Rezé, niece of the Visigoth king. Her hometown Rennes-le-Chateau, then called Reda, became the Merovingian stronghold. The two had a son, Sigisbert IV. On December 23rd of 679, Dagobert II was murdered by a servant under the direction of the king's treacherous mayor of the palace, Pepin the Fat. Stop there because I knew the laugh was coming. His 3-year-old son Sigisbert IV disappeared, and the kinship passed down to a weaker branch of the family tree. The Pope endorsed this murder.
Ugh.
2 days before Christmas, too. What a drag. The Carolinians, the family line of Pepin the Fat, gradually took over rulership. In 754, Pepin III, by the pronouncement of the Pope, officially became king of the Franks. His dynasty included Charlemagne. The Carolinians' rule ended in 987 with the new dynasty of the Capetians. I am Vigo.
Yes.
Septimania. From the Spanish Pyrenees up through Toulouse and Narbonne, there was a strong Jewish contingent. In 759, Pepin III, in exchange for acknowledgement from the Jewish leaders, made Septimania an independent kingship. The Jewish Septimanians chose their king Theodoric, descendant of Sigisbert IV. Theodoric's descendants include Guillaume de Gellone and Godfrey de Bouillon, Duke of Lorraine, and conqueror of Jerusalem during the Crusades. The Cathars, perhaps as an outgrowth of the region's historical independence, in the late 12th century of the Languedoc became the hotbed for a group called the Cathars. The Cathars were nominally Christians, but their theology was considered heretical by the Catholic Church. The Pope arranged the Albigensian Crusade, there we go, sorry about that, in 1207, in which the Cathars were slaughtered, men, women, and children. The region never fully recovered. Knights Templar. Although the Templars were inaugurated in Jerusalem in 1118, several of the key founders came in from the Languedoc, including Hugh de Payne, Count of Champagne. The temple continued its association with the region, establishing several bases here. Many high-ranking Templars came from Cathar families, including Bertrand de Blanchefort, 4th Templar Grand Master. The Knights Templar were eventually accused of heresy. A general arrest occurred in 1307. The group was disbanded, and all that resisted were burnt at the stake. So that was true too, unfortunately. Alright, so we flip over to the other side, and we'll let Gabe explain this part.
This side tells the story of that Abbé Saunier.
Alright, and this is actually what the museum's devoted to in reality. So, Berenger Saunier was born and raised near Rennes-le-Château in a town called Montezelis. He was ordained and appointed abbé to Rennes-le-Château in 1885 at the age of 33. Basically, he was born in April of 1852. I was just thinking of that number, and then that popped in my head there, the 50. Alright, so for 6 years, Saunier struggled on a starvation salary. He managed to raise a little money from the locals to restore the decrepit church. He began the work in 1891 and was dismantling the altar, in which he found a hollow in the ancient Visigoth pillar. Inside the hollow, Saunier found the parchments in wooden tubes. The parchments were said to be 2 genealogies, a 2-sided parchment containing Greek scripture, and a confession of one Abbé Bigot, Abbé of Rennes-le-Château in 1789, and confessor of the Blanchefort family. Saunier took the discovery to a superior of the Bishop of Carcassonne. The bishop sent him to Paris, where he stayed for 3 weeks. In Paris, he was introduced to various persons known to be involved in esoteric and occult circles. He paid to have copies of several paintings made in the Louvre. When Saunier returned to Rennes-le-Château, his fortunes had changed. He began spending vast sums of money. Yeah. He had a lavish villa built for himself and his housekeeper, Marie Denardaud, and then he had a strange tower overlooking the valley, which is Tor Magdala or Magdalen Tower. Saunier built a road and a water system for the town. He refurbished the church in a garnish and an orthodox manner. He gave money away and spent a fortune on friends. Although a later superior demanded that he name the source of his wealth, Saunier was excused from the explanation by the Pope himself. That's half true. Saunier also did some unaccountable things, such as destroying several of the tombstones in the local graveyard and defacing other ancient local inscriptions. Distinguished and mysterious visitors came to see Saunier at Rennes-le-Château, including Archduke Johann von Habsburg, cousin of the Austrian Emperor. Saunier died suddenly of a stroke on January 17th of 1917 at the age of 65. His death came only days after Marie Denardaud ordered the casket. Although Marie said she would reveal his secret before she died, she never did. All she said was people in the area were walking on gold and didn't even know it. Now, this last panel has an angel with the devil in chains, so here's Gabe's comment.
It's an angel holding a devil in chains. I've never seen Satan drawn quite like that.
Alright, so that's the history. Now, I'll give the real reason behind Saunier's wealth. He actually did